It was one of the most riveting pieces of video to surface in the aftermath of Gaston. The storm that brought biblical flooding to parts of Richmond 20 years ago.
Just a scary moment. I've never seen anything like this.
This surveillance footage from a GRTC bus shows the raging waters rapidly rising, threatening to completely engulf the massive mass transit vehicle.
I thought I was gonna die. That's how scary it was.
How ironic then that this bus driver and her passengers were able to save a life while they themselves were staring death in the face. In the back of a Petersburg coffee shop,
God, look at that.
JoAnna Korkos gets a front row seat
There was a Mini Cooper that floated by, a backhoe that floated by. That's my car.
to a white knuckle trip down memory lane.
That is an incredibly dangerous situation that I was in that I did not realize was as dangerous as it was. Had no idea.
It all started the afternoon of August 30th, 2004. JoAnna, then a 24-year-old VCU student, had just left the campus bookstore on Broad Street and was headed home to Prince George County in her new car. JoAnna didn't get very far.
The rain was deafening. Like, you could not hear yourself think. It was so loud because it was coming down so hard.
The remnants of the former hurricane had stalled above the city, bringing the traffic below to a standstill.
You know, I moved a block in an hour. Like, there was nowhere for people to go. Everything was just stopped.
That's when the downpour turned into a deluge.
Then the water really just started rushing and came out from nowhere. And the two cars that were in front of me washed away.
Moments later, the situation turned even more dire.
I just remember that the water was coming in my car and I was watching it rise and trying to decide what I was going to do next.
The two things that happened next probably kept JoAnna from drowning. A bus pulled up right beside her and a wooden railroad tie floated downstream.
The only thing that saved me from floating away too was that railroad tie that washed up in between me and the bus and kind of hooked me to the bus.
JoAnna had a cell phone and by that time had already called 911. When the water reached her knees, the dispatcher told her to get out of the car.
So it was very Dukes of Hazzard style, climbing out the window, climbing across the hood.
The 911 operator had already contacted the bus driver, telling her to prepare for JoAnna to come aboard.
There was a passenger on the bus that helped open the window and lent me their hand to help pull me into the bus.
What were they saying?
Don't you fall.
And the sure-footed JoAnna did not. The security camera capturing the moment she was pulled inside the bus, a place she and the others would remain for a long time.
Several hours, because they considered us safe and there were other people that were in worse danger.
Eventually, rescuers arrived by raft.
I can remember stepping out of the boat into just like this muck that was on the ground because I was in flip-flops. It was August and I had lost my shoes. But the guy at the pizza place right there at 18th and Main took me into his shop. I bought the fire department a pizza and he took me into his shop, washed my feet off, gave me 2 plastic bags and 2 rubber bands to wrap around my feet.
But JoAnna still had to get home, which she did thanks to the kindness of that stranger she had just met.
The pizza guy ended up, he knew his way around the city and he literally drove all the way from Richmond up and around the city and took me all the way home to Prince George that night.
The people on the bus, a railroad tie, and a pizza guy. Those are the things JoAnna says helped to deliver her from disaster that August night.
I will never forget that, ever.
An experience she still can't believe she survived.
Looking back, I should have been scared, and I probably was a little bit, but 24-year-olds usually think they're pretty invincible and, oh, it's gonna be fine. And definitely had my mama's prayers around me that night for sure.